You're listening to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio podcast. Want to come to you this morning with the Caitlin Clark injury. Is this a collapse of the CBA agreement? Want to cover that. It's really the Caitlin Clark injury really affected the U.S. economy. And of all the different entities and business and corporations that are tied to the WNBA that have come on board, this injury really is going to really change the CBA negotiation. And also, it's going to change the narrative. ESPN, Chinny Abumike coming out and giving the report of the WNBA investigation that didn't find any findings, and that one really there is really going to be interesting because you got Caitlin Clark, whose WNBA impact has been a major spark. It was like we had the wood, we had the match, we had no kerosene to light up the fire. And when Caitlin Clark came into the WNBA, she lit up the fire. Now you get into it and you're looking at it, such a dominant player and how much of an impact that she'll have on CBA negotiations. They're talking about, okay, what's the impact as far as the media bias that they believe is taking place? They're looking at the race card, the race baiting that's going on. And it really, it's kind of to the point, have we overstepped the boundaries of what the WNBA is to represent or what the CBA agreement is really going to come about, because ESPN can't stay out of a racial controversial environment, and it's fueling all into the WNBA. And it's a counteract agreement for me, because you have the sister who is representing the players association, representing players, to drop the ball, make an accusation, and then it find out the investigation is there and it's not true. Well, that one there is going to cost you a little bit, and you got to know that Caitlin Clark is the biggest star. We already know that. There's nothing that we can really say. We know her presence is undeniable. We know she sells tickets. We know she has a lot of fans, and she we knows that she's been a spark to the WNBA. And it's really interesting because the WNBA, it's always been a question of pay and the $76,000. But when you look at the CBA and how it all works and how much money the ladies get before they get the salary, there's some interesting numbers floating around that no one's revealed. But when you look at Caitlyn and her endorsements, and it's been tied to, the economy is tied to about $1 billion of Caitlin Clark. Now, when Caitlin Clark doesn't play, this is where the CBA and the negotiation is going to have a major breakdown, because now the collective bargain agreement of the attendance, the fans, the tickets, everything that is increased by just tremendous increase that has happened, tremendous scalability that's happened. It's captured a crowd. Now, what has to happen with Caitlin's injury? Here's the CBA breakdown, and here's what happens: the ticket prices are dropping. The national TV games will not cover as much attendance or as many viewers. When you start losing that, you're going to lose leverage. And now you're falling back to what used to be the old WNBA. And that really is not good. And really the question is coming in, was the is the league exploiting the players by not paying them, right? $76,000, that's a relatively average or below average salary, depends on what state you live in. But it also means that now all the leverage that was built up, that you felt there's more than one player to watch, and you have Caitlin, her fan base is so big that when they pull out, you're going to have be left with the numbers that you had before, or are you able to increase the numbers? And I think that's where we get a little off track, because I'll talk about ESPN and the race narrative. I've never seen something where sports has been involved as much as ESPN on the miscalculations of what's happening in the WNBA. And let's not kid ourselves. This all started with Caitlin. It all started with Caitlin. It's all going to end with Caitlin. And now with Caitlin's injury, This is a major point for the Players Association, and how are they gonna do it? Because when you get there, you've got the ESPN anchors that are on there that are covering the game on a daily basis. There's so much friction and disagreement amongst the staff that this says this way, no, it was this, no, it's because of that, and it's just made just a cream of chaos that has come, and now, they're fighting, or I guess they demanding that Caitlin Clark not be the face of the WNBA, which she's well above the WNBA. She's the face of women's sports, but at the same time, there's still the battle that's going on between the players and Caitlin, the actions that are caught. One thing I'll tell you, you put 41 national TV games on TV, I guarantee you're going to catch shots that you normally wouldn't catch in a regular WNBA game, and you're seeing fouls that are happening all over the place, and when you're watching this from a valid culture critique, right? I'm an African American male, and I'm watching all of this that's taking place. I'm wondering, how are you going to overcome all this in a negotiation? Because you really have somewhat of a conflict of interest. You have Gumke, you have Collier, you have Brianna Stewart. They're representing the WNBA players, but they also are owners in the Unrivaled League, Melissa Collier. So here's where my question of conflict comes in. If you're in the middle of a CBA negotiation and the owners say, well, I will give the players more money if they don't play in Unrivaled. Well, that's going to be tough because they're the owners of Unrivaled. And how did you get the owners of Unrivaled to negotiate you a contract? This one here is not in the space it should. And what the players are saying, the players have been speaking out, and they're saying, hey, we like Caitlin, but we don't like her fans. We like Caitlin, but we don't like her fans. And, I mean, it's like we've been doing this for years. We've been grinding it out, grinding it out, grinding it out. We didn't get any recognition. Then one year, Caitlin comes in and everything changes. And this has been a constant day one fight with the media, not necessarily the Caitlin Clark, but with the media and their portrayal of how good Caitlin is. And the media is telling everyone, look, guys, Caitlin gets 7 times more coverage because she has 7 times more people who are following her, who are actually tuned in and are listening to the story. So they got to keep track of their metrics, and their metrics say when we cover Caitlin, we get a whole lot more views. How do you dispute that in a CBA agreement? I don't think you have a chance. And for Clark, I mean, it's really a tough spot because she's already acknowledged the legends that have come in. She's already acknowledged a lot of people that have already been there. So the real issue they try to say isn't with Caitlin Clark, but you get her on the court, the fouls happen, all type of things happen, and you're just really trying to understand this, because really, folks, here's my deal. When you look at this and you go, well, we got the hot topic, we got the media, you got everybody's watching, you got national TV, and they're all talking Caitlin Clark, WNBA, CBA, and whether ESPN is pouring gasoline or fanning the flames, right? Because ESPN ends up in the middle of this, trying to get as much attention, right? And so, really, it's going to come down to the CBA, and I think the CBA is going to be lost right here, because without Caitlin, the league is going to be back, or the league can put a big push on marketing itself and really upholding. The players can take a different stance because they're going to run the numbers. And this is something in the NFL. They said Caitlin with a quad injury, it'd be like 2 weeks. But in the NFL, they got it penciled in 3 to 6 weeks, maybe even longer, because of soft tissue. They're really trying to see if it'll heal on itself or do we need surgery. I don't know if Caitlin's to that extent. The medical report, the doctor's report. I'm not a medical expert, so I can't comment on that. But what I will tell you is, with Caitlin being out of there, it's going to hurt the CBA. I think ESPN and the job they're doing and the association they're doing, that's gonna hurt as well. There's no doubt about it. I think the players have been speaking out on it. racism, racism. And folks, I'll tell you, I've been to a lot of stadiums. I mean, even covering NFL, as I shared earlier, I go to the games early. I'm on the field. I'm walking the field 9 a.m. in the morning. The players are coming out. If you heard the insults that the NFL guys get at 9 a.m., I'm sitting there right with them, and the guys are looking at me, and they're like, "Man, we go through this every Sunday." That's what the players say because they're getting harassed, screamed, called all kind of names, things thrown at them in the NFL. If you go to a Major League Baseball game, you want to go to a Red Sox Yankee game, you're gonna hear a lot of bad things. You go to colleges, you go to the Big Ten games or whatever, you're gonna hear a lot of bad things. But somehow in America today, we're supposed to go to the WNBA game, and that's not going to happen. I don't see it that way, and I think that's where the mark has been missed. I really think Caitlin's great for the WNBA. I think Caitlin has lifted the WNBA. I think Caitlin has done her part in the WNBA. But is it fair for the players because of what Caitlin has done to make demands that they be given a better league for everyone? Is it fair for them to openly discuss racism, but still say the fans that who are paying the tickets, who are paying your salary in effect, are racist so that if they stop coming to the games, why would we give you money? We're going to lose money. And this is really a bad situation going in. And, I mean, the league is evolving. There's no doubt about it. The money with the league is going to evolve as well. But in this type of situation here, I go back to you and say Caitlin Clark's injury is going to be a CBA nightmare because the metrics and the numbers are going to show. ESPN and the race narratives and what they've been carrying since Caitlin has walked into the league and getting things wrong and lists and it's just went on and on and on. And then at the end, always landing on the race card. It's an embarrassing moment for anyone to walk through the doors and have to deal with that and see that on a daily basis. Because in corporate enterprise business, the goal is to make revenue and cover all your expenses. But if you have the employees fighting against you, then it wouldn't make sense for you to continue to invest because here's the deal the owners can simply say, we will pay the players who play in the WNBA only more money. We'll pay more to the players if they're willing to accept and drop the racism and just come in and do their job because racism is pretty much in America throughout and every corporate entity deals with it on a daily basis, which in actuality the WNBA not only are they saying they're dealing with, they're trying to control the thousands of fans. Folks, you'll never control 70,000 football fans. You'll never control 20,000 people coming in. They're coming from all different race, culture, society. This is their chance to come in and have gladiator warfare and express themselves. That's how the pros work. And, every arena I've ever been in, I've always seen fans say things that are horrible, but it's a part of the arena. They say it when they're getting their warm ups, they say it when they're leaving the game. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. I hope I brought something today that was very interesting because I've seen a lot and I'm not happy with it, but I also understand there is a negotiation going on. I think Caitlin Clark's injury is going to be a very, very major point in this. I think ESPN has overplayed the race card and carried this on too far, even to the WNBA investigations, because there's no finding. Because a season ticket holder, if they found something, they're going to lose their tickets. That's for sure. But in the end, you got to look at this and say, well, what are the players saying? The players are really in a tight spot because the WNBA doesn't have to have these players that are playing currently who have been in the league for a while. And it's starting to show. The pace is picked up, the talent, the shooting's picking up, and you're starting to see that there's a separation with the rookies like never before. So it's going around the world, but it must stop the musical chairs. The leverage with Caitlin Clark's injury, not a good thing. ESPN continuance of race baiting, not a good thing. And the players who are openly feeling they're going to change the way America runs, not a good thing at all. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. All things are possible to those who believe. And we're telling you now the CBA negotiation, boy, that's going to be an uphill battle. We'll see you soon.